Week one is nearly in the books. We've got two more games and, of course, a whole lot to learn from what we've seen. Overreactions, underreactions. All I know is there's a whole lot of DFS to go. We've got 16 more weeks, so let's get after it. The DFS PreSnap on LineStar starts right now.
You're listening to the PreSnap podcast, brought to you by LineStar, the top-rated DFS tool set and #1 companion for DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo Daily Fantasy. Go LineStar Premium now at LineStarApp.com. Now, here are your hosts, fantasy football experts Joe Pisapia and Chris Meaney.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and welcome to the PreSnap show right here on the LineStar app. It's me and it's Chris Meaney, and it was a pretty good start to the season. This is our Monday recap show where we are going to go through everything that happened on Sunday, the good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the good. Let me tell you, it was a pretty good shot out of the gate. Plus, we've got not one but two Monday night games, the Monday-Thursday slate to get to. Chris Meaney, we did our first touchdown call segment, and we each picked a running back. We each picked a wide receiver, and we got not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but six touchdowns between four players. I'd say that's starting off pretty hot, Meaney.
Can't get any better than that, Joe. You really can't. So we'll take that. Again, it's maybe the carryover from baseball season, perhaps, but nonetheless, we were able to do that. Yeah, Mark Ingram had 2 touchdowns for you. Chris Carson had 2 touchdowns for me. You had Adam Thielen, who found the end zone, and I had Chris Godwin, who found the end zone as well. It wasn't pretty from the quarterbacks with those two teams, like Jameis Winston and you know, Kirk Cousins didn't really have a great day either, threw for fewer than 100 yards, but it didn't matter. Our guys scored touchdowns, and that's what we're trying to do for people.
It did. And look, we're going to take ourselves to task, as we always do. If you're a fan of us and you've been listening at LineStar all baseball season, you know we are always going to toot our own horns when necessary and smash the horns over our heads when we were wrong. But pretty good out of the gate, as Chris was saying. I thought the home run calls were good, and then the touchdowns happened, and I went, my goodness, what a crazy day. So let's start with the millionaire winner lineup over on the FanDuel side, just because I think that's always a fun place to start. Lamar Jackson, who was a guy that we talked about ad nauseum here on the show on Thursday. We both had, in fact, my favorite pairing was Ingram and Lamar Jackson from a return investment. That worked out pretty good. But the millionaire lineup had Lamar Jackson. It had the Dalvin Cook performance too, which was absolutely stunning. But let's start with Lamar Jackson here. 5 touchdowns from him, 324 passing yards. So I guess, in the words of Lamar, pretty good for a running back.
Real good for a running back, and he didn't even run the ball. I mean, he only had three attempts. So, yeah, really impressive to have 5 touchdowns and only throw the ball 20 times. Now, it was against Miami, but it doesn't matter. We did like him because of the rushing floor and what he could do on the ground, and he didn't even bring that to the table. So, yeah, Lamar Jackson was one of the better values for week 1 going forward. I'm sure his price will adjust appropriately. But, you know, there's going to be a theme here, and it's going to be to pick on the Dolphins, I think, every single week. I mean, that team is checked out already. There's reports that there's a few players inside the organization that they just want the hell out. Like, get me out of here, because, you know, this team is just not showing up, whether it's because of some of the play calling. There's already a feel inside the locker room that the first pick is theirs and that they're playing to that first pick. But Lamar Jackson, I don't want to take anything away from him. He was good. I'm excited about this offense, right? You bring in some burners like Boykin and Brown, and you don't tip your hand. We talked about this, Joe. Like last year, they kind of tipped their hand with Gus Edwards when he was on the field. You knew that he wasn't going to catch any balls out of the backfield, and they got what I think is one of the most underrated backs in football in Mark Ingram.
Yeah,
so he's catching balls out of the backfield. He's going to be a guy that gets all the goal line work. Yeah, there's a lot to like about Baltimore.
We said it in the preview shows. We said, look, don't forget, Mark Ingram can catch the football. Just when Alvin Kamara showed up, they stopped throwing it to him. Right. I mean, it's not that the skill set disappeared. It's the way that they wanted to run it. Lamar Jackson was just 10% owned in the $1 million tournament, which is kind of crazy. Amazing. Also, 3.4% owned was Mark Andrews, who's also in this lineup. So Hollywood Brown certainly made the most of his opportunities. We'll see if that's a one-off or something we can count on. But Mark Andrews, the tight end, another one too, 8 catches for 108 and a touchdown. A fantastic day for him at 20.8 points on FanDuel. Really good start.
Yeah, amazing. He caught all 8 of his targets. I loved Baltimore too, just running up the score. I mean, they're going for it. I think there was a fake punt involved, and they were up like 52-10, 4th and goal, and they throw to Mark Andrews. They didn't care at all. They're just scoring points. So I think Andrews is the guy that's gonna be probably most consistent. Like Marquise Brown is going to have some games where you're like I don't know if you're ever going to be able to trust him in cash. Like, I mean, he only had 4 catches, 147 yards, obviously found the end zone twice, but he's going to be that tournament guy that I think you can pair up. I mean, he's very speedy. Miles Boykin only had the 1 target. It came in the red zone, found the end zone as well. So I think Mark Andrews is certainly the guy, but Lamar Jackson, maybe you just roll him out consistently as somebody who's just going to, run the football himself. Baltimore ran the ball 46 times, Joe. That's what they want to do. That game was out of hand, but that's what they want to do. But again, I think there's going to be some inconsistency with some of his pass catchers, but I certainly like Mark Andrews as a guy that you just want to see involved in the red zone. And that's all you hope for from a tight end, is that he's going to catch, be involved inside the red zone, and he's going to get that kind of workload, 8 targets. I mean, definitely probably upside to be a top 5 tight end each week.
And I'll tell you what, man, I want to see, I think that's the guy. I think Andrews, especially because we're always looking for value at tight end.
Yes.
It's a great opportunity there. And I trust the tight end with the young quarterback more than I do the wide receiver. If you're going to ask me, like, going into the next couple of weeks, who am I trusting in that Ravens offense? It's going to be Andrews more than it's going to be Hollywood. That's just my take. Dalvin Cook was 28% owned, and certainly a pretty good one for him there. 2 catches for 9 receiving yards, but it was the 111 on the ground, the 2 touchdowns that really made his day. Lev Bell was in this lineup too, pretty solid effort, but it was really about 2 wide receivers. And if you had them, it was a good day. It was Deshaun Jackson, just 7.8% owned, and then Sammy Watkins, just 4% owned. Watkins had himself a whole month, basically in a day. 9 catches for 3 touchdowns, 198. Deshaun Jackson, 8 receptions, 2 touchdowns at 154. So let me ask you this first with Sammy Watkins. The Tyreek Hill injury certainly helped this, but look, there was nobody anywhere near him. The Jaguars defense, I've been saying it for a while, they're very overrated. I think this team peaked 2 years ago in the AFC Championship game, and I'm going to keep driving this home. And I think they've been kind of a joke ever since. And look, I'm not buying the Jaguars. I'm not doing it. That being said, Sammy Watkins looked healthy. Sammy Watkins looked good. Are you buying him now that Tyreek Hill is out as somebody that ownership's going to go from 4 to maybe, 24 this week?
Yeah, it probably will for sure. You expect a few passes for Damian Williams as well, who got all 6 of his targets. Without Tyreek Hill, he's going to have a role in this offense, catching balls out of the backfield. But yeah, Sammy Watkins is the guy there now, and he has a really good opportunity now. Obviously he's not going to be able to do this, in week in and week out. You just said, like, he basically had a month of production in 1 game, but at the same time, this is still a very good offense. I had said with you, last week that I thought Vegas was disrespecting Kansas City and just forgetting how good this team really is. And it was right off the get-go for Patrick Mahomes, connecting with all of his weapons. So, I mean, he threw the ball 33 times, 25 for 33, 378 yards, dealt with an ankle injury and still just looked unbelievable. So this offense is great. But he's never going to be a guy I don't think that you can trust in cash. I still feel that way. I still feel like he may have some games where there's maybe a little bit of a disconnect. But for the most part, these are poster boys for DFS, especially tournaments like Sunday Million. Like, to win those, you need those guys to blow the cover off the top. The Sammy Watkins, the Deshaun Jacksons, both of these guys. And for D-Jax, he was involved very early. And I don't think it was because of, a revenge game. Like, it was just nothing to do with that. It was away. The very first throw that Carson Wentz had was to Deshaun Jackson. And he is never, we said this numerous times. I know you have, I have, on this show, other shows, we've said that Carson Wentz has never, ever, ever had a deep threat before like this. Never. They tried with Torrey Smith. He worked out, but he wasn't a deep threat. Mike Wallace got hurt early on in his tenure in Philly. Didn't work out. When that offense yesterday was struggling to move the ball, it was a shot down the field to Deshaun Jackson, 50-plus yards. Another one later, 50-plus yards. This is just what he does. So to come away with 10 targets, team high, 8 catches, team high, obviously 154 yards, team high, this is something that I think we'll see often. Again, not a guy probably you want to roll out in cash, but somebody you're probably going to want to roll out in tournaments because he all of a sudden can just, when it looks like nothing is happening for Deshaun Jackson, all of a sudden he's winning you $1 million.
Yeah, and look, he was 5,600. I mean, there was just no way that wasn't a fantastic value. And the question is, like, Deshaun, like you said, it's a tournament play because you don't know week to week how that's going to go. But it was good to see right away and that things were linking up there with the two of them, but there was also kind of game script there. They were playing catch up, so they had to be aggressive. So that's not going to be every week. We'll see what happens. An interesting matchup coming up this week between them and the Falcons. That's certainly one because the Falcons looked like trash and that defense wasn't very good either. So we shall see what goes on. Neither of these defenses played well. Washington scoring 27 was shocking to me. Like, shocking doesn't begin. Don't tell me about you knew McLaren was happening. Shut up. Nobody knew McLaren was happening. Just stop. You know, there's that one idiot on Facebook or so, I told you, but no, you didn't. Shut up. I know you're from Ohio. I get it. All right. Enough is enough with you.
Yeah, we got to give some respect to Case Keenum. I mean, he started the game off very strong. He was spreading around. I think at one point there were 7 different guys who had a catch in like the first half. So, I mean, we give him some credit. We also have to continue, I think, to pick on the Eagles secondary. They were bad last season. They give up a lot of catches to wide receivers and a lot of catches to running backs. We saw Chris Thompson yesterday, 7 catches. So I think we keep an eye on that moving forward. Like, Julio is going to be in a prime matchup next week. Calvin Ridley, like, these guys are going to be in good spots to have some success. But yeah, I mean, you got that backdoor cover from Washington late, but it was certainly surprising that they were able to have that much success early on in Philadelphia.
No, it was stunning, and it ruined what would have been a beautiful 5-game parlay, which would have been just magnificent. That I had it in my hands. Oh,
right there. Did the Trey Quinn touchdown with 6 seconds left screw you over? Is that what it did?
Yeah, you know, that didn't help. No, that didn't help. But we did talk about Trey Quinn as one of our favorite lineup builders, so that's good. I'm all about helping everybody else. If we succeed, we succeed when everyone succeeds. Okay. Godwin was a bit of a letdown. We'll get to the letdowns in a second, but McCaffrey, the other big piece of this lineup, 37.9 points. I mean, holy crud.
Played 100% snaps.
I mean, unbelievable. 25% owned, 10 catches for 81, 128 on the ground, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, I'm out of words. I'm out of I'm out of compliments for this guy. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, it really is. And the fact that, I mean, you're just spitting out his ownership, and it's surprising to me. And I know on DraftKings it was a little bit different. You get that full point for the catch, but I'm shocked to hear that it was, you know, it's that low. I mean, I don't know what you're doing at this point. You just roll out Christian McCaffrey. Like, he is just such a player in this offense, and he's just, he's so explosive. The entire offense runs through him. He's probably going to lead his team in catches and targets every single week. He's the guy, you know, to get the carries. There was some talk maybe that he wouldn't get the goal line work. They're going to, you know, scale him back a little bit. That definitely wasn't the case. He had an unbelievable second effort on one of his touchdowns. He's just the man. You know, he's going to play 100% of the snaps. You know, he's going to be evolved through the air. He's going to flirt with 28 touches every single game. His price is going to get to a point where it's like, oh, do I fade this guy or do I just find a way to get him in my lineup? And I think you just find a way to get him.
I think you
do.
Yeah, I mean, he was 8,900, and look, this week's a little easier because he plays Thursday night, so you don't have to worry about this. But you're right, going forward on that main slate, you got to just him and Saquon. I know Saquon didn't deliver the touchdowns, but you know,
well, that's the one thing. Like, his ceiling is going to be higher than Saquon's because it's a better offense. They're going to be involved in more games. And what did we see yesterday from Barkley? Like, yeah, he was fine, but Gallman's in there getting touches in the fourth quarter because the game is out of hand. So
I agree.
mean, that's one thing we've said before. Like, you're not going to get that same upside with Barkley as you're going to get with McCaffrey or the Zekes of the world.
All right, let's talk about some of the letdowns. The Tampa game was a bit of a letdown. Winston stunk. I know LineStar was high on him. We were tenuous about him. We kind of faded him, but we both love Godwin. That really didn't work out. I mean, he gave us 12.8. It's fine. Like, the touchdown kind of saved it, but it was a little underwhelming. Mike Evans obviously wasn't healthy going into this game. He was dealing with an illness, but he still played. But Tyler Lockett did not deliver what we hoped. Chris Carson was okay. He was good. But Lockett, hilarious. And, you know, my whole thing with Lockett was always that concern. It's like, is he going to catch more than a ball? I know it's going to be a touchdown when he catches it, but geez, man, like, he's driving me crazy. I don't think you're going to see me have a whole lot of Lockett the rest of the year. This was my probably one Tyler Lockett for a while. And yeah, he got the touchdown, but 1 catch, 44 and a touchdown. Chris, I mean, this Seahawks offense, let me tell you, spoiler, here's a teaser for Thursday's show. I'm going to be all in on the Steelers, and everybody knows I'm Mr. Patriot. So God knows this weekend has been glorious for me. I mean, not only did I get Antonio Brown,
another beatdown, yeah, and you got,
but
Brown.
I got to beat down the Steelers in New England, 33-3. But I'm all in on the Steelers next week. I am going to be all in on them against Seattle, because Seattle, I mean, if Andy Dalton's throwing for 400 against you at home, what the hell's going to happen in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, it's a good call. I don't feel great about the Steelers now. I just want to, it was in New England, and this is what the Patriots do. I mean, yeah, their defense was phenomenal. They were just all assets of their game were just top notch. But Moncrief not on the same page, certainly not with Big Ben. But I'm with you on Tyler Lockett. I have no shares in a season long league. He's somebody that I just can't trust in cash. We just assume that he's just going to get a heavier workload because Doug Baldwin is gone from that team. They still want to run the football. This is what they want to do. Yeah, Carson wasn't as efficient as we would like to see, but at the same time, he still found the end zone twice. And the big takeaway from this game is that it was Carson, who everybody says can't catch, doesn't have a role in the offense in terms of passing. It's Penny. It's Chris Carson who led that team in targets and catches yesterday. 7 targets, 6 catches, had a receiving touchdown.
Yeah.
So it's Lockett was absolutely invisible. I was about to tweet, where's Tyler Lockett? And then all of a sudden it's like a 44-yard bomb and he found the end zone and it's like it saves your day a little bit. But he only had 2 targets. And DK Metcalf, I think we need to keep an eye on him as well. 6 targets, 4 catches, 89 yards. Not a bad first game for the Rook.
No, it wasn't. A lot more thing to get to here. I want to talk about Todd Gurley, who people were, oh my God, the first half, all those people who wanted to crap all over Todd Gurley. And then by the second half in the fourth quarter, when you're watching Todd Gurley run, you're like, all right, that looks a lot like Todd Gurley to me. So
Yeah.
if you take one of the touchdowns from Malcolm Brown away and you throw it on Gurley, the day of 97 rushing yards and a touchdown looks very different than the 97 without.
Yeah.
But my goodness, I'm not ready to get off this train yet. And if the ownership's going to be, he was 14% owned, I think it's going to be even lower next week. And I think it's a mistake because I think when you go back and you look at it and you see who's the closer, it's Todd Gurley. Yeah, maybe in the first quarter they might have some Malcolm Brown, and I get it, but I don't think you're going to see a lot of weeks with 2 scores from Malcolm Brown. I think you're going to see Gurley around the end zone a whole lot more going forward.
Yeah, and I give some credit to Carolina's run defense too. I think they're a pretty solid defense. And for Gurley, he at least played 70% of the snaps, and for Brown, 26% of the snaps. And you know what? Gurley may have had one of those rushing touchdowns because he fumbled and then he was out, right? And then it went to Brown. And then another drive where Brown had that second one was just a lot of Brown on that particular drive. And he ran, I think they were just outside the red zone right around the 22, and he had a really strong run, and they just kept him in there, which makes sense. So I don't know. I think Brown may continue to be mixed inside, the red zone, but I agree 100% with you that people are going to be out on Gurley, and his price may just stay similar to what we talked about, and there's upside there. And the fact that we could get Gurley like lower owned than what we got Gurley over the past couple of years is pretty enticing. He's another guy that I think we continue to roll out in tournaments because we know the ceiling is there.
Yep, 100%. I'm with you. All right, let's recap a little of the wagering show. Mike Randall and I gave you the upset specials. Mine was the Colts covering, and not only did the Colts cover, but really Adam Vinatieri left 10 points on the board. I mean, 10 points.
They should have won the game.
They should have won this football game, which would have made me look like a real evil genius. But my goodness, let me tell you, that was incredible to watch. I keep telling everybody, this is a team that's got a better offensive line than they had in years, a better defense than they've had in years, a whole lot more weapons. And it looks like they're going to be without Funchess for a while, obviously, but still, Jacoby Brissett can be good enough. Marlon Mack was a revelation yesterday. And I keep telling everybody, the Chargers are not that good. No Melvin Gordon, no Derwin James. They're missing some key pieces here. And I'm telling you, they are very beatable. And we'll see if this was the wake-up call they needed, but I got to tell you, there's going to be a lot of close Charger games. And the other one was the upset that Mike and I were both on, and Mike picked his special one, which was the Bills to go in and not only cover, but to also win outright. And they did. Oh, my goodness. You could feel it. You could watch. I'm watching the fourth quarter, and you could sense the Meadowlands slowly creeping in on itself as all the Jet fans started to pull their hats over their eyes and pull their blankets over their eyes and go, oh my God, no, same old Jets. And there it was. Devin Singletary didn't carry the ball a lot, but when he did, it was impactful. So keep an eye out for him in the next coming week. So we got not one, but 2 upset specials. I'm sorry the Colts didn't win, but really, don't blame me. Blame Adam Vinatieri because I nailed that.
Yeah, you did. And he did not nail that. Yeah, I mean, I give a lot of respect to this Colts team. Marlon Mack, these guys that fell down draft boards because Andrew Luck was gone. T.Y. Hilton found the end zone a couple times. Like, Marlon Mack was great, second in touches for the week, just behind Christian McCaffrey. So, I mean, if you have these guys in season-long formats, just, be happy with that. We said before that, we have respect for Frank Reich. This is a much different team than when Jacoby Brissett was the quarterback in 2017. The offensive line is good, and yeah, they should have won that game yesterday. And I give a ton of respect to the entire team. Just fighting back on that final drive was really good to get the unbelievable pick in the other way that Phillip Rivers threw, that maybe the game was going to be out of hand, and the one-handed grab there, and then they went march down the field and tied it up. So yeah, good stuff all around from the Colts. And from the Bills, you're right about Singletary. His first carry was 6:30 left in the third quarter, and you wondered what took Buffalo so long to give him the ball.
Eye-opening, though. I think McDermott goes, oh, wait a minute. Yeah.
This is why we got rid of Shady. Yeah, for sure. Like Frank Gore, 11 for 20. Okay, get out of there. Singletary, 4 for 70. He can catch out of the backfield, had 5 receptions on 6 targets. So another comeback. Josh Allen actually led the NFL in comebacks in the fourth quarter last year, and there's another one that he can put on his resume. So good stuff from Buffalo, despite the fact that they had 4 turnovers, and they still went in and won this game. So Buffalo, I have a ton of respect for their defense. We talked about this before. A ton of respect for their defense, and I like them as like a dark horse team. I think you just fade. I know it was just like Sam Darnold, whatever, but I think you just fade quarterbacks against the Bills, especially when the games are played in Buffalo.
Keep telling you, this is one of the best defenses out there. They are
so
tough they might. I mean, we'll see what happens. They're going to be in contention. They're going to be relevant, and they are just so tough in that secondary. They're so physical. All right, I'm going to take myself to task. I could not have been more wrong about the under in the Philly game. Let me tell you, dude, I did not see Washington showing up in this one at all. And they did. I give him credit. Case Keenum, screw you. But like, that's all I got to say about that. I know, Chris, you certainly had some feelings about the Cleveland Browns too, which I got to say that's a game Mike and I on Friday ran away from. However, the reason we ran away from it was because Tennessee plays good defense. And I keep wanting to see this whole Browns show on the field working. And my goodness, am I going to get my wish where this team is going to eat itself alive after week 1 already?
Yeah, maybe. And I thought the under in this game was a lock, where you were talking about Philadelphia and Washington being an under. I thought this would just be like a grind and, a defensive just game, really, because, I like the Browns defense, and I think the Titans defense is slightly underrated. So I don't want to fully give Baker Mayfield and this offense a pass. Baker looked pretty bad. I mean, 3 picks. They're 0-5 when he has at least 2 interceptions. But also, the offensive line in Cleveland was just not good. It was not great. They had a guy ejected early in the game for kicking somebody in the head. They made the trade for Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, there are some concerns with the offensive line moving forward. And yeah, I love Delaney Walker's comments, after the game. They are who we thought they were. You want to crown them, you just go ahead and crown them. There's a lot that they have to prove. We're just saying, like myself included, I want Cleveland to be good. I think they're going to be able to take a step forward. I like their team on paper. I still think that they're going to be able to battle for the division, but this was not a good start for this team. Getting blown out by the Titans, having Marcus Mariota have the line that he had, looked pretty decent yesterday, really. Like, I know he's 14 for 24, but he doesn't throw for 250 yards too often or have 3 touchdowns very often. So they were able to just have their way with Cleveland, and yeah, maybe we need to temper expectations a little bit. The Browns are going to Browns, and the Browns and the Jets. I mean, we're looking forward to take a step forward, and they just look like their old selves.
Yeah, pretty much. The Browns really know they need to get it together quick because it's funny because now everyone's going to face off Browns and Jets Monday Night Football. Well, somebody's going to be 0-2 after that one. I think it's going to be the Jets, but we shall see.
And if it is Cleveland, it's kind of panic mode. And you wonder, right? This is the first year with expectations. We've talked about this. Rookie coach, Baker in year 2. Odell Beckham Jr. comes to the team. Like, again, all these primetime games. And the schedule is not easy. Like, there's some tough games. This is one that they figured they probably should have won. And if they lose on Monday Night Football to the Jets and they're 0-2, it's all of a sudden panic mode. And you wonder how they can recoup from that. So it'll be interesting to watch going forward.
It will. A couple of quick fly around things too, and then we'll get to tonight's games and the Monday-Thursday slate. We've also got, TJ Hawkinson had himself a hell of a game, a guy that I've talked about all off season, one of the poster children in Team Black Book. Now that's a hell of a first week from a rookie tight end. So as I've been saying, as I've been saying, it's always no rookie tight end has ever done that until someone does. Now I don't expect this kind of game out of him all the time. However, I still expect TJ Hawkinson to be useful more often than not. So just keep that in mind as we roll through a lot of this. The Kansas City Chiefs defense still stinks. Foles comes out of that game and they still give up 26 to Jacksonville. So don't tell me how it's a better defense. Don't tell me. I know that Casey's going to score 40, but they're going to give up 35. Like that's just who they are.
Gardner Minshew came in and was 22 for 25 with 275 yards and 2 touchdowns. Who?
Hello.
Yeah, and a lot of that was prevent defense. Sure, fine, whatever. Yeah. But he still had success.
Yeah. Dak Prescott was fantastic, but I'll tell you right now, I don't know if you're going to get a Dak game like that again, because once they ramp up Zeke to the full workload, you're probably going to scale that back. But certainly Giants, another team where people had expectations. We'll see how long it takes for Daniel Jones to take over there at QB. Looking around too, the last thing too is that the Patriots game, which we got to come back to it. And I got a lot of ire in social media. There's a lot of people who are just mad because Antonio Brown was there and they wanted to take out their frustrations with me because they know that I'm lovable and I'll do it with them. And there was like this ire with this little twinge of, I can't wait to listen to Joe be happy about this so I can be mad about it kind of thing. And look, man, the Pittsburgh Steelers went in there and they tried to play man now because the 10 years they've been playing soft zone against Brady, or 20 now, just hasn't worked clearly. So they tried to play man to man and that didn't work either. I don't know if you watched this whole game or not, Chris, or if you turned it off because it was a blowout, but the play towards the end where the center didn't hike the ball, but everybody moved. Amazing. All I could think of was, isn't that the annexation of Puerto Rico from Little Giants?
Yes. I saw that play and I was losing it. And some of the screenshots after too are just jokes. Like he's just there with the ball, not hutting it, and everyone is just like.
Have you seen a meme about the annexation of Puerto Rico? Because I was waiting for that. I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it yet. Maybe you need.
But that's exactly the play. You know what I'm
exactly,
talking about.
Yes, absolutely. It was exactly the play for sure. And yeah, it's just. This is what New England does, and they always just seem to have their way with Pittsburgh. It just outclass them. It's just so easy.
Josh Gordon looked good too.
Josh Gordon did look good.
Oof.
Yeah. Again, like,
what are you gonna do when you're running Edelman and Antonio Brown, quick slants, and then you got Gordon on the end?
Yeah.
And then you
White, who's still productive.
Yeah, well, what happens when the linebackers bite on the quick slants and try to cover? You're telling me that nobody's going to get picked, nobody's going to get open, number one. Number two, you're telling me when James White wheels out there around the corner, you're telling me that he's not going to be wide open. I just don't know in theory or in practice how you're going to stop this going forward. I don't know, man. It's a little scary. Everybody in the NFL, all the other 31 teams should be a little afraid, I think, right now.
And most of us said it the second that Antonio Brown was gone, like he's going to be a member of the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
I mean,
Seattle or New England. There were only two places.
And I'm sure
polar opposite coaches, but both I think could have handled his nonsense.
And Brown knew what he was doing. He wanted to get to Oakland. He wanted to go to New England, obviously. But like the Pittsburgh Steelers weren't going to trade him to New England. But at the end of the day, he's a member of the Patriots, and it's crazy to think about because this offense they don't even need him, right? They've rolled yesterday pretty efficiently, and now you're going to add Antonio Brown there. You just hope that Brown's able to keep his head on straight because he's not going to be able to pull the same crap that he pulled in Oakland with New England. There's just none of that. Like if he starts missing meetings and stuff, like they will move on from him because they don't need him to win Super Bowls because it's clear. They've won it without him. So even still, I kind of downgrade everybody in the offense besides Brady. I still think White's going to have a role. I think Brown still is obviously upside to be a top 10. Gordon's going to be that guy that you play in tournaments. Like he's going to have what he did yesterday is just like long catches and extend plays. He's just such a beast. But yeah, it's New England's world, and we're just all living in it. It really.
And that defense is really good.
And the defense is legit.
Another
Absolutely.
one that I kept saying last year. When you hold Patrick Mahomes scoreless for a half,
right,
and
then the Rams,
and then the Rams right after,
and then
like I just feel like nobody was talking about this. That how good that defense was, how well they executed. And man, like that was, it's one thing to lose like 27-24, whatever, 33-3. It was like from the kickoff, they just decided to fold up the tents. And all I heard all the pregame was the same BS, which was Roethlisberger's on the field watching the ceremony for motivation. Okay, well, I guess that didn't work out. Like you can motivate all you want, but I'll tell you what, spoiler, I'm telling you, Thursday's show, it's going to be nothing but Steeler love. Everyone's going to be off of them. Seattle's coming into town. Seattle's not a good road team typically. Give me all the Steelers. Give me Roethlisberger. Give me Connor. Give me Washington, Juju, all of them. All right, let's get to Monday night here, and let's start with this game. This is going to be a fun game just if you're a football fan. The New Orleans Saints hosted the Texans. Breeze over on, let's start with the DK pricing. Breeze is 64. $8,500 for Latavius Murray. Then you've got Michael Thomas at $8K, and then the secondary guys, Smith and Ted Ginn, $3,900 for Smith and Ginn at 42. So when you're looking at this offense, obviously them at home is brilliant. We always know this. So it's kind of tough to see tonight's games, even with Deshaun Watson on the slate, and not want to start Breeze at home, no matter what the contest. Am I right on that? On that? We're at.
Yeah, you're right. We know about the splits with Breeze. He dominates at home.
Okay, so he dominates at home, so we got to start with Breeze there in the LineStar app too. This is how you start doing the lineups and start constructing stuff. So Michael Thomas, the automatic pairing, obviously, unless you want to change that around and go with Kamara instead. It's tough to get everybody because then you basically got to punt all the other stuff. So my question to you, when you switch over and you start looking at the Houston Texans, how do you approach that team in terms of their pricing? Because obviously Hopkins expensive. We all know that. We all know what kind of talent they have. So if you're looking at a game plan, I would imagine you want to try to do that a little bit controlling the football, but I don't trust Carlos Hyde and I don't know what Duke Johnson is yet in that offense. This is kind of tough, man.
Yeah, I definitely don't trust Carlos Hyde. I'm not going to be involved with him. He's fairly fresh to the team. The offensive line, I still don't believe in. I know they got Tunsil, but I still don't fully believe in the offensive line. And, they just haven't typically been a team that's run the ball a lot over the past couple of years, especially with Deshaun Watson there. So Hyde's an absolute fade for me. Like if you're playing Hyde, you just hope that he falls in the end zone. His ceiling seems to be capped. Latavius Murray is kind of the same thing. If they do get up in this game, they are heavy home point favorites potentially. They lean on Latavius a little bit in the second half, but again, you're just kind of hoping that he falls in the end zone. I do like Duke Johnson. I think he's going to be involved in the offense.
I like him on DK more than FanDuel in the full PPR.
Yes, exactly, because he's going to get those catches. Now, originally I'd said, well, Duke's, he's not a guy really. He's only had over 13 carries, I think, once in his career. Like, yeah, he did in college, but it was a long time ago against kids when he was a kid. Like, he's built that way, but we just haven't seen it yet. But I think he'll have a few targets in this game. It could be the same Chris Thompson feel where he leaves this game with 10 targets, 7 catches, because they're trying to play catch up and there's, some garbage time points there. Like that's certainly possible. But yeah, I think if you're a cash game player, you definitely want to roll out the Saints, whether it's Drew Brees and Alvin Kamara. You could definitely do that, even though like it's a strange strategy, a quarterback running back duo, but with only 2 games on the board, you kind of have to get a little bit weird where people may go Brees and Michael Thomas, or they go Brees and Ginn. If you go Brees and Kamara, maybe you differentiate yourself just a little bit with your lineup. But those are the 2 that I like, Kamara and Duke, actually the most. So just like pass catchers in the backfield, I think will play a big role in this game. And then for the late one, I mean, everyone's looking where the targets are going to go, right? Tyrell Williams is going to have to deal with Chris Harris. Not great. Jalen Richard caught almost 70 balls last year. I know Jacobs is the guy, but maybe we're in a situation just like Chicago where Tariq Cohen was lining up in the slot, the Bears game, and they're using Davis and Montgomery. Maybe they use a little bit of Jacobs and Richard in games, and if they're going to be down in the game as well, it's some easy completions because Derek Carr doesn't throw the ball down the field. He just doesn't. So Richard's in a pretty good spot as well. He's only $3,600 on DraftKings.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Will Fuller to me is that guy on Monday night. The
tournament guy.
The tournament guy, because look, the one thing I know about the Saints is they give up big plays. As good as the personnel is, they give up big plays, and I want the touchdown. That's what I want, and Will Fuller's a touchdown machine. So everyone's going to be on Hopkins. Give me Will Fuller. He's got Eli Apple on him. Lattimore is a far better corner than Apple. So give me Will Fuller. I think that's the pick for sure tonight. And look, in terms of this, the later game with the Oakland Raiders, I got no love for the Raiders. That defense stinks. So if you want to, get involved, I don't think there's a lot. Well, yeah, I was going to say Sanders is the guy. I think Cortland Sutton could be a piece here. I think Lindsey's going to get a ton of work. I just feel like, look, and the number is -2.5, I think right now, or is it's a 2 or 2.5? Well, either way, it doesn't matter. I think the Broncos are going to win this game easily. Like, I don't even think this is a close one. I don't.
I'm in on Denver too. I'm in on Denver as well. And, this time last week I was thinking Oakland, but with everything that has happened lately and with no Antonio Brown, I just think Denver's a better team overall. Like, they have the better defense, better pass rush, probably the better quarterback really at this point. Like, as much as we kind of crap on Joe Flacco, I mean, he's going to be able to make smarter decisions than Derek Carr. And ultimately that's probably what it's going to come down to. So yeah, I like Denver. And I like the Saints. I mean, they should be able to win by a touchdown.
All right, looking ahead to Thursday here, in terms of prices. There's every which way we got to work in McCaffrey, obviously, right? I think that goes without saying. But to me, Chris, I want nothing to do with Cam Newton or the other receivers. I just want McCaffrey. And if something else works out in terms of positioning, it's just crucial. I think you find a way to base him. I don't care what the ownership is. I think you got to find a way to work him in cash. Don't you agree?
Yes, I would agree with that. You just make it work, whether that's pairing him up with Jalen Richard, you get the Monday, Thursday, whatever you want to do there. But I agree. Like, it's McCaffrey, and you're really just kind of taking shots at everyone else, because even Cam didn't look great yesterday, and also just wasn't calling his own number. And I wonder how much he's going to run around with that shoulder. I really do. He's taken a lot of shots over the years. So it's McCaffrey and just really Monday night.
Yeah, I think you're probably also, look, it was not a good first effort for Jameis Winston, and that worries me a ton. I mean, it really does. It's I know short weeks, anything can happen and things get wacky, but Winston with the picks really doesn't make me feel good. Godwin, we just barely got him what we wanted, not quite where the level we wanted. I think Evans would bounce back, and I know it's going to be kind of up and down all year for the Bucs, but what's your feeling on this one? Are you just are you fading them all together? Do you think maybe there's, you take a shot on Howard, or how does this kind of work out in terms of the Monday, Thursday, because we have got that extra Monday night game for you?
Yeah, I think I would try to focus in on maybe just Houston and New Orleans as being the highest scoring game of the three. Just trying to get involved that way, or really just maybe spending down on some of the Oakland guys, like maybe Renfro 3-6. Again, you're not going to be able to trust him in cash, but maybe just like a tournament dart throw, so you're able to get McCaffrey or a Kamara or a Thomas or a Hopkins. Just go that way. There's just a lot that needs to be seen with Bruce Arians and Tampa and how this offense is going to run. Because you're right, Winston wasn't good. The offensive line is not great. Ronald Jones seemed pretty spry, actually. He looked pretty decent a couple runs, but now he's got to go up against Carolina's run defense, which I said earlier, I give them some respect. So I think Godwin is the guy. He's the player. He's the easy completion for Jameis. I don't, again, like Mike Evans, like seemed to be a little bit of a disconnect down the field because Winston wasn't having enough time to throw the football, and I just don't know how that's going to change. So Godwin is the guy for me, and really elsewhere, you're just kind of taking shots and hoping that people are off of them, but it is such a small slate that, really you're going to have to play multiple lineups just to feel good about Tampa at all.
Yeah, it is. I think I'm going to fade him. Sometimes we see the bounce backs, and Carolina's certainly a team that could allow that to happen, but I don't know, man. This might be one of those things where we just kind of wait and see. I don't want the Blaine Gabbert era to start any.
It may start before you know it.
Yep. God.
At least takes care of the football a little bit better than Jameis, right?
I know. On that note, oh God. All right. So we'll be back again on Thursday, and Mike Randall and I will be back on Friday. So Friday's our wagering show. Thursday is our DFS show. I want to thank everybody who's listened so far. Really good week 1 numbers. Let's keep it up. If you're enjoying the show, make sure you like and subscribe to us. Give us a 5-star rating because we're awesome and we're fun. And we win you money, and that's what it's all about. So you can follow him on the Twitter machine at Chris Meaney. You can follow me at Joe Pisapia 17. And, of course, follow the LineStar app at LineStar App and LineStar NFL. That'll do it for me and Chris. There's nothing left to do now except set, down, win.
You've been listening to the PreSnap Podcast, brought to you by LineStar. Hit subscribe, tell a friend, and stay tuned for the next episode from fantasy football experts Joe Pisapia and Chris Meaney.